from Balance Your Fitness. Thank you so much for joining me today. And we're going to go through today one of the most important exercises that we can be able to go and do to be able to go enhance all of our results through exercise, whether that's wanting to lose weight, whether that's wanting to improve performance or increase strength and overall function, or perhaps want to be able to make sure that we go and we lower our chronic joint pain that we're dealing with on a daily basis. And that is to make sure that we know how to do the basic squat. So when I showed this with a bar on my preview picture earlier this week, but I'm going to just show it just for demonstration purposes with something even as simple as a wooden unweighted bar. So you can be able to go and imitate this. If you want something like this, you could just use a broomstick at home. I want to show some different variations today, but also learning some of the basics about the mechanics of it, so that way you can be able to learn how to do these exercises safely and effectively. So the best way to be able to go and understand how we can get the best results from the squat is understanding first our posture, right? So a lot of times when we talk about posture, let's set this down for a minute, is we want to be able to go and understand that what posture means is being able to go and have our joints when we're just standing or sitting in the best possible alignment. Now, this isn't something that you can be able to go and force, but it's something that should happen naturally. If it's not, then whenever we do any type of movement, whether it's squatting, whether it's bending, walking upstairs, pushing, pulling, twisting, etc., we are going to go and end up with putting ourselves at more risk for injury in anything that we do. So the first thing we want to be able to go and do is to be able to go and work on some of these areas that are going and affecting our posture. You can look this up in some of my previous videos, either on my Instagram TV videos at Live Your Life in Balance, my Instagram page, or on my Facebook page, Balance Your Fitness. They'll have an archive of various different manual therapy, stretching, postural improvement exercises. So once we've gone through some different stretching, mobilization, you want to make sure that always, whenever you start any exercise program, that you have your approval from your doctor, that to be able to go and do exercise. Once you have that, and we want to be able to go and say, what's one of the best exercises we can do? The squats are number one. So what we want to be able to do for the squat is being able to go and do it safely and effectively. So the first thing we want to be able to talk about when we squat is how we breathe. So I've talked about this many times on different videos before, but being able to go and breathe properly helps our musculature to be able to go and help us put our bodies less risk of injury when we do any movement. So I'm going to have you guys practice this first. We're going to go ahead and place one hand on our chest and one hand on our belly. And as you inhale, you're going to let the belly go forward first for your first 2/3 of your breath. And then you're going to feel the last third of your breath's going to feel a little bit of chest expansion. So I'm going to inhale, first 2/3 from here, and the last third coming from the chest expansion. Inhale, and feeling that chest expansion at the last bit. And so once I exhale, I'm going to exhale and draw my belly button in towards my spine. Inhale, exhale, drawing my belly button in towards my spine. Once I have that down, when I get that belly breathing, what we want to be able to then go and work on is the basic form of the squat. So once we get that, we want to be able to start off with our positioning. A basic squat, we're going to have our feet spread out a little wider than shoulder width apart. And our toes aren't going to be exactly pointed straight forward. They're going to point slightly outward, about 10 to 15 degrees. So in this position, what we want to be able to do is start off with that breath. Inhale, belly goes forward, then drawing it in, but not exhaling yet. This is key to be able to make sure we use our core musculature properly when we do a squat. So I'm just going to start off with my hands on my hips. And I got that breath held in. I'm going to stick my butt out and bow forward. And with my knees, when I squat down, one of the things we want to make sure that we do is that we're not rolling outward on our knees, that our weight's not too far outward. One of the things that people have with a lot of back or knee pain is that we don't have real good stable hips. And what happens is that our weight's going to want to shift outward, all right, onto the outsides of our knees, our outsides of our legs. That's really common with people that have posture where you're sitting down in a chair all the time, right? Your weight's going to want to shift outward. So one of the things you want to feel like you're doing when you're squatting down with those knees, almost to feel like that weight's a little bit on your instep. So you should feel a little bit of the weight on the inside of your shoe in this position. Now, some people, people who tend to wear like a lot of high heel, women who tend to wear a lot of high heels, sometimes they can have the opposite problem where you feel like your weight's too far in when you squat and the knees dive in. Then you want to be able to just go and move from here to a little bit from here. So the weight shouldn't be so far on your insteps that you feel like your foot's rising on the outside of your feet, right? So you feel like the outside of your feet are off of the floor. But again, you want to be able to feel some of that weight. What's happening here is that you're activating your inner thigh muscles. Your adductors are actually part of the chain of muscles that help you activate your core and other spinal stabilizers. It's really, really important that we go and make sure that we activate those. So again, from the top, inhale, belly goes forward, drawing it in, I'm squatting down, right? I'm keeping my weight on my insteps. One of the things that we're also going to go and check on is what our back looks like, how much we're bowing forward. So I'm going to turn, as I'm squatting down, I'm sticking my butt out. I'm going to move my hands so you can see it with the camera. One of the things we want to be able to do is to be able to get our thighs about parallel to the floor. But sometimes if you go down too low, you see my back start to flex and my pelvis start to roll under. We want to be able to avoid that and be able to stop, ideally before that spine starts to roll or that pelvis starts to tuck under. But ideally be able to get those thighs parallel to the floor. And then as we come up, we're going to exhale through pursed lips, almost blowing out birthday candles. So inhale, belly goes forward, drawing it in, butt out, bowing forward, keeping the chest up, and then exhaling, coming up, like I'm blowing out a birthday candle. Inhale, belly goes forward, drawing it in. Okay? So now you've seen that from the side, I'm going to show some different variations of squats. Now, the very basic body weight squat, you can be able to go and do, whether you're holding on to something, to be able to go and get some of the basic body weight squat down so you don't feel your knees bothering you or your back bothering you. So what I found is that some people like to go and say, my knees hurt or my back hurts when I go and when I do squats. My recommendation, once we get our posture fixed and our back's not in pain, just standing here, when we do squats, we're just going to do a limited range of motion squats. So basically only going to the range of motion where you don't have pain. So if I can only go down this far without feeling issues in my knees or in my back, that's as far as I go down. Some people like to try to replace it with bridges or other different floor leg exercises. I'm not as huge of a fan of that. Just from practical experience, I've been working with people that it just doesn't respond as well. I like to be able to go and have people imitate what they're doing out in the real world first. And that seems to get better results than trying to do some of the bridges or other things laying down on the floor. Not that there isn't some applications for that in various sort of extreme and more extreme settings. But for 99% of most people, I'm going to go out there and we're going to do some form of squat movement. So we can go and limit the range of motion. We can also go and be able to hold on to something as well, be able to have chairs next to us to be able to assist us. But being able to get that motion down is really critical. And so we can increase the intensity by increasing how far we go down. If you feel your pelvis start to tuck when you're squatting down. Like let's say I get down to here and I feel like my pelvis starts to tuck. We really want to work on stretching your hamstrings and also working on manual therapies that help with the muscles of the upper back and of the shoulder blades. Those muscles, when they tend to get tight, will make it more difficult to be able to hold that posture correctly, and that pelvis will start to tuck under early. Let's see here. I'm going to go through some different variations. So on the video, on the initial picture, you saw me do back squats, which is one I learned very quickly. Is one of the things that we did a lot in college and high school athletics, is being able to do the back squat. However, the back squat's certainly not the only type of squat, and it's actually not one of the better ones for developing core strength and improving posture. So when you have the bar on the back, so I'm going to put the bar right on my trapezius. Sometimes people can hold it lower. Sometimes people lower or a little bit higher. You have to go with a little bit of comfort level, but also it may make it a little bit easier. Some people can do more weight with their bar. The bar's setting back a little bit farther on their shoulder blades, so it's almost down a little lower versus having it a little higher. But when you do the back squat, you end up working more of the lower back, right? So the weight's going to be farther shifted back on our center of gravity, so it ends up making our lower back muscles work a lot harder. Whereas if we were to go and throw the bar in front of us, or the bar's in front of our shoulders, either with our fingers pointed back like this or arms crossed, the weight as the center of gravity is the weight is compared to our center of gravity is going to be a little bit farther forward. So you feel your abdominals and also your thoracic spine, upper back muscles working. That's really good for people who have issues with forward flex posture, where we're trying to go and strengthen and get our body into better posture from sitting at a desk for too long. We can also do things like overhead squats, where we have the bar over the head with our arms wide, almost in a wide position, and going down into that squat. As we go, we keep our arms above the head. And that one really helps to be able to work the shoulder girdle and improve shoulder strength. We can also do squats on one leg with our foot off the floor. This is going to be a little bit more limited range of motion usually. You're not going down quite as far, but still extremely challenging. We can also being able to add various different movements. We can add touching down to the floor, pushing, or perhaps if I've got a cable set up, I can go and add a cable pull. There's a lot of different variations to the motion that we can be able to go and add. But one of the things that we want to be able to realize is that everybody can do squats. Okay? Every single person can do some form of squat variation, 99.9% of people. So being able to go and improve our ability to do squats will help us almost in every single functional way, from any sport that you'd be able to go and do, whether that's golfing, whether that's running, whether that's playing baseball, softball, you name it. Any sport can be able to go. Anything, any sport, any activity, even walking upstairs, picking up your kids, playing with your grandkids. Everything can be able to go and be improved by mastering the basic squat movement. So if you guys have any other questions, please don't hesitate to ask them down in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Have a great weekend, and I will see you again soon.